Yeah, so we're working with a partner in Laos to tokenize gold. And gold is an interesting asset, right? So, it's used to be what the currency is based on. But beyond that, people seem to park a lot of their assets in gold. People still believe in gold as a collateral for different things. So creating these three links between, something like a US Treasury gold and Bitcoin could be a way that we can move funds around between traditional finance and Web3 easily, that creates some sort of price reference between different assets. Now we also create digital credits that mimic sort of currencies. So this is helpful in cross-border payments. Just to explain a bit more, a lot of people are not, may not be familiar with the issue here. But for example, in Thailand we use Thai baht, in Philippines Filipino pesos. If you were to convert currently from Thai baht to a Filipino pesos, it's not a direct conversion between Thai baht and Filipino pesos. It actually goes Thai baht into USD, USD into Filipino pesos, because there's no direct link between the two currencies. So now, if you can create a digital credits market that mimics the price between the two, then you can create, liquidity and basis price that you can execute whatever transaction you're trying to create. So this is sort of like boring things that could form bedrocks of a more exciting real world use cases. For example, if you were to use a Web3 payments and you have a bunch of Thai baht on your digital credits and you go to Philippines to spend, then you can benefit from this sort of foundation.
So Velo recently integrated the BlackRock Build a Fund into what you guys are doing. What does that mean for your users? What does that mean for your ecosystem?
In the short term, we're looking at using this as a collateral for our digital credits to provide yields. But we're also looking in terms of doing something with this to create a yield product within our ecosystem. Something like US Treasury, I don't think you can access from Web3 directly. So this would be one way you can get into that. We're also trying to figure out how to do some sort of leveraging on that as well. So you could potentially do some sort of leverage yield product as well. So that's sort of like what our initially thinking is, but obviously there's a lot of other use cases that I can't directly talk about right now, but we're exploring as well.
Sure, it's obviously big just to have them integrated. It's one of the biggest funds. There is over $500 million, isn't it? Something like that, right?
Yes, but I think we talk a lot about a lot of people see the benefits, but I think it needs somebody like a BlackRock name, right, to put credibility into the entire tokenizing real world assets. It's still important to have somebody sticking their name out and saying, I think it's like somebody said before, right? Politicians, we need somebody to spearhead. Within tokenizing real world assets, when you have BlackRock, like it can't get any bigger than that, to stake and said this is the future. And because of that name, because of their credibility, I think we're going to see a lot more movement, a lot more development within this field.
Do you think just the perception of them being there provides for a sense of safety from the regular retail consumer?
Not just retail, but also I think institutional money, who can have more trust in the name and credibility that BlackRock brings. And then once they get used to it, then it paves the way for other players or other types of products to come up.
So what types of things, because this is an environment where there's constantly people working on other things, how are you staying competitive in this environment? What are you doing to position yourselves to attract institutional and retail level investors?
We're looking at, I think we have a niche in that our focus in our areas within Southeast Asia and Asian region in general is not something that a lot of players are looking at currently. Even though it's such a large market, fragmented, and a lot of inefficiencies within the system. I don't think this is currently or in the short term is not going to be one winner take all type of deal. So, as long as you bring some sort of unique product into the market, I think there's enough growth that can accommodate a lot of different players.
Certainly enough people out there. I've always said there's not like we're competing for money. There's enough people out there that it's not about competing for the money that's here. There's other people to attract in. So that'll be good. One more question, then I'll see if David or anybody else throws up a hand because I've been monopolizing the time. Can you talk about how cross-border transactions are going to affect your ecosystem? What are you guys doing with the stablecoin, your stablecoin strategy? I'm sorry.
Yeah, so it's not stablecoin per se. We call it digital credits because, as I mentioned, it's something that we want to create different pairings, that can provide a price reference. It's not just going to be, something that mimics, Thai baht or whatnot, but also something like even loyalty points or other types of different assets that can provide some sort of pairing and price reference that you can use to make payments or transactions. Um, and then the market is large. I talked about Thailand, Philippines, but even within Thailand and Laos, there's a lot of migrant workers, Lao migrant workers in Thailand that sends money back daily. It's something like 30 million USD daily, and they currently pay about 8 to 10% on those money on those money that gets sent back. So there's a lot of inefficiency within the system that can benefit from something like a blockchain alternative product to traditional finance that can really help people save money and also help us capture this market that's been ignored.
What does this collaboration or the integration more so with BlackRock really mean for Velo? Like, how do you see this integration with BlackRock having an impact on future collaborations and deals with other big institutions? Like, do companies see BlackRock and they're like, all right, we got to get something going with Velo now?
Uh, I hope so. I think I think the credibility extends far and wide when it comes to BlackRock and securitized names. But it's something that we're developing in terms of the working relationship, what we can do with their product, with securitized. Um, and initially, I think it brings a lot of attention to our name, but beyond that, I think it helps us be able to communicate what we're trying to do because it can come a bit of a convoluted, you know, way to explain what we're trying to do here. But essentially, we're trying to create a Web3 capitals market that works more efficiently, that solves real world use cases, that brings real intrinsic economic value into the Web3 world. And that comes from connecting real world assets, whether that's US treasuries or gold, into the Web3 ecosystem that you can use to do other things. I mentioned trade finance because that's something there's also a lot of inefficiency and is monopolized by a few financial institutions that provide this sort of service that hasn't been innovated in a long time.
Oh, 100%. I mean, just the name, like, people will see BlackRock, and that's something they'll pay attention to. You got to tell me how you guys did that. I need BlackRock as a KOL for one of my projects in the future. But serious question. Like, have you guys raised money? Like, how long have you been building this? This seems like something that would be expensive and years in the making.
Yes, we've actually quite an old project. Started since 2017. We got a lot of institutional early backers, people like Hanwha in Korea, Hashkey, CP Group, UOB Bank. These are sort of common household names within Southeast Asia. These are people who believe in our vision of developing something that solves a real world use case within this region. So we've been developing that. Initially, we only focused on cross-border payments, but as we see the opportunities, we sort of expand to build to see beyond just cross-border payments, is creating that link between traditional finance and Web3, providing that pathway. So we have a lot of partners that have necessary licenses that we're trying to integrate Web3 to provide that sort of pathway that links between different chains, different network, different ecosystems, and also in traditional finance world. And that's because we believe in a world where you have Web3 somewhat has to comply with regulations.
All right, love all of that. I mean, sounds like you're covering all the bases, which is Definitely important. Are you planning a token? Like, is that something that is needed within the ecosystem? I know the stable one, but is there a Velo token, some kind of
Yes.
TGE you guys are planning?
Yeah, we actually have our own tokens, utility token called Velo. Um, it's something of a token that captures sort of the value within the ecosystem that's created. So if you hold a lot of Velo tokens, you'll get some sort of discount or to be used as sort of fees that generates from our use cases. So as our ecosystem grows, as more use cases happens within our ecosystem, then there'll be a natural demand for Velo tokens.
Oh, love that. Where's the token? Where can I get some?
So we're actually listed in a bunch of different exchanges. For example, OKX, KuCoin,
Okay, you
HTX.
guys are already everywhere.
Yeah, we're in a lot of different exchanges. For US holders, I think they can access through Uphold, which is I think regulated US exchange.
Okay. All right. Wow. Well, how many users do you have? Like, is this something where you already have a lot of people using it?
We have a few. I can say the exact number currently, but there's also within our ecosystem that includes some of our partners in Web3. We're trying to convert some of the users of, for example, loyalty points into our Web3 wallets as well. It's in the range of like a few 100,000 to a million that are waiting for us to convert.
Oh man, that's a big number. Congrats on that. All right, so I mean, everything that you've done, you've got a token, you've got this ecosystem, you've got big partnerships. I mean, you pretty much check all the boxes. Where is Velo gonna be over the next few years? Like, what's the main goal? What are you guys really building towards?
Yeah, so we've been sort of, in the down cycle in the past year. So we've been building a product. So this year we're trying to launch our products, converting traditional users of our partners into Web3 users. So hopefully in the next 2 years we'll see us executing a lot of the use cases that happens from these partnerships with Securitized by BlackRock or with Solana ecosystem that we announced earlier in the year as well. So we're trying to, we've had the partnership. Now we're trying to execute and trying to bring real use cases to those partnerships. So that's going to happen within a year or two, hopefully.
So when we have our guests on here, I usually ask one last question at the end because I think it always gets a good answer from people. So from the Mario account, we have a huge amount of people that tune in just every time we go live, and they might be here for the first time hearing about Velo Protocol. So they're very excited to meet you. You also have people that follow your account that came to the show who are very excited that you are here speaking. And I know you've you didn't make too much noise about it, but I think you've stayed up very late to do this, and I appreciate that. So for all the people that are here listening to you, what would be your final thoughts before we close out today? What are your calls to action for everybody before we go?
So just follow our social media. There's X accounts. There's also our Telegram accounts. We have a lot of exciting new partnerships to be announced within the next month or so. Hopefully, you guys can for those of you who have an interest, can follow us to learn more.
It's just that easy, guys. Like I mentioned earlier, click on the account. Make sure you've opened up their website so you can read it after we leave. Just give them a simple follow and make sure you stay in touch. Maybe join their Telegram. I've noticed that's on their profile too, so you can interact with them. I appreciate Velo for choosing to be here. Velo Protocol, Pat, I appreciate you for coming in and being part of the show. And if it is as late as it is, like you get double two times points for doing the late shows, man, coming out of where you're at. So thank you for pulling up and thank you for giving the listeners an opportunity to listen to what you're doing with DeFi. And all the listeners who commented, thank you for that. I did go through as many of those as I could while we were going through the show. I appreciate your comments. And to all the speakers, thank you so much for answering those invites. Irina, Buzz, 2% Richard for showing up. We appreciate you guys. Block, I saw you down there. You look great today. We get these people in here not because they have to be, but because they choose to be part of our show to help you guys learn more about crypto. And I appreciate it. Exactly, bro. Thank you guys for pulling up and being part of the show. And thank you from me to Mario and David and everybody at IBC for putting these things together. There's a whole team of people that you guys don't see that I mentioned, the news team, the spaces team, and all the people that make David and I look good up here for you guys. So thank you to them. And David, thank you, my guy, for doing another show, man. We got to be getting close to like 250 of these things together, bro. And I loved every one of them. Have a good day.
Absolutely, Pulse. This one was a banger. I always love learning about the different companies building in Web3 and doing something that is attracting the attention and getting the eyes of the upper echelons of these certain industries that we really want them to know we're not just meme coins and monkey pictures. I mean, that's what Velo is doing a great job at that.